Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once more to another Horus Heresy Hammer uh, emergency broadcast.
Mm,
They're coming thick and fast at the minute, aren't they? We are going to be
it's crazy.
covering the Warcom articles about traitors, Mechanicum. We had Solar Auxilia today, and they put a bit of information out about PDFs and books that are coming.
Yeah,
Um,
we're getting to
so
it two a day now, isn't
I
it? Two a
know.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
keep up. Yeah.
But Heresy's dead. So, so before I go on, I will just reiterate when it talks about rites of war, it's now the title for each legion's kind of rule set, including their Legion Tactica, which is essentially the old trait, their Gambit, for challenges, the advanced reaction, and each Legion specialist detachments. For those of you that are new, this is fine. For those of us that are old, Rites of War was something completely different. So, just to confuse you a little bit. And it is one thing I will say with these Warcom articles, I've seen a few people saying that they find it quite confusing, and
Mm.
they are, but I don't think it's because the rules confusing. I think it's just they give you a little tidbit of information, and then you're a bit like, but what the fuck does that actually mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So just bear that in mind when we're going through some of this, because some of it just won't make sense because we don't know the full rules. But anyway, traitor legions. So it said in the article, the Emperor's children and World Eaters are both getting two rights of war representing the legions in the early years and later stages of the heresy. This is huge. And again, the article was a little bit wishy-washy because it talked about traitor and loyalist legions, but it specifically mentioned Emperor's children, World Eaters. So I don't know, like if every legion's getting two of these, if some of them. We won't know until we see, but the ones we do know about are Emperor's Children and World Eaters. I like this a lot. I think it's cool because I mean some of the legions by the end of the heresy are completely different. You know, I mean the prime example being Emperor's Children, World Eaters, Death Guard. It'd be nice to see if we get one for Siege of Terror Death Guard when
Mm,
they're basically plague marines.
mm.
Or maybe that's something they can cover with their journals. But I think it's a very interesting thing that they've decided to do. It's something we've talked about in the community previously, hasn't it?
Yeah,
And like some people have said, people probably just end up running the best ones. But,
yeah.
you
It's
know,
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that because I think that many people will play like they'll probably flip flop between the two,
yeah,
just for a little bit of flavor. And I think that it's good that it adds depth, and you get twice the Legion rules for W
yeah,
for
yeah,
yeah.
that's it, isn't it?
Um,
However you want to play it. Yeah.
yeah, but I suspect you're right. I think that unless the rules are quite finely balanced and they're equitable in terms of what they do on the table, I think in general you'll probably find that people will favour
Yes.
one over another. And it's the same with the Emperor's Children like traitor list that we had in 2.0, is that
Yes.
it was pretty cool, pretty thematic, but it wasn't the easiest to use, and yeah, so it'd be interesting to see whether or not people go for a particular one, but will just entirely depends on the rules, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the first one they show us is the World Eaters Legion Tactica, which is essentially kind of the Legion trait. This is a interesting one. It's
Mm,
called the Nails Bite, which is a fucking amazing name. So the controlling player may choose that a World Eaters unit becomes lost to the nails when it fails a leadership check. When a unit entirely composed of models with this special rule fails a leadership check, that unit's controlling player can choose for that unit to become lost to the nails. So what happens when they become lost to the nails? All tactical statuses affecting it are removed, immediately. That's pretty huge. In addition, units and models in that unit may add +1 inch to the distance of any setup move. Gain +1 to attacks characteristic. Models in that unit are considered to have leadership, cool, and willpower characteristic of 10, unless it would normally be higher. If at the start of the controlling player's charge subphase the unit is within 12 inches of any enemy models, that unit must make a charge move. If more than one enemy unit is within 12 inches, the controlling player of this unit must select the closest enemy unit as the target unit for that charge. So basically, if you are within 12 inches of an enemy, you have to charge them.
Fine. Yeah.
At the
Right.
start of the controlling player's charge subphase, if there are no enemy units within 12 inches of a unit that is lost to the nails, that unit is no longer lost to the nails. Um, so there's been some mixed reactions to this. Obviously, the first one is like basically you can never become pinned, you can never become routed. Like you you are never affected by kind of any negative tactical statuses, which is huge.
Only at the point that this rule goes off, I think, though. I think that
Yes.
you can subsequent once this rule goes off, you can then subsequently be affected by those statuses, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
then you
But
would just
you're
do this all
cool.
over again.
Yeah, I guess so, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. Oh,
Like,
that's interesting.
because
Yeah,
then you
when
just go back to fail a leadership check. I guess it's a leadership check.
remove all tactics in addition, wanna yeah, I suppose the only thing I would
So if you fail
yeah,
a cool
okay.
check or you fail,
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
know what the other two fails are.
Does this just kick in every time you
Just
fail the
kick in
check? And
again.
yeah,
Um,
that's really interesting, that isn't it? Okay, we'll have to. Okay. Oh
So I
yeah.
do like it, but obviously a lot of people are like, well, the only way your world eaters can act like world eaters is if they fail a leadership check.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
that
Mm.
is, yeah, like a big one, isn't it? Because world eaters have almost always just had like +1 attack.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a couple of things to unpick. The first one for me is that at the start of the game, you are not going to have a Legion rule. And in turn one, it's likely that you're certainly if you go first, you're not going to have a Legion rule.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and your Legion rule does not kick in until you fail a leadership test. Now, if you've got some hot dice, it might mean your Legion rule never kicks in.
yeah,
So that's something to bear in mind. Like the rules that you get when you do fail the leadership check are very, very good. I mean, what wouldn't a thousand sun do for a willpower of 10? I suspect moving
yeah,
forward. Um, but you know they're going to be merciless killers and pretty unstoppable when the nails kick in. And I don't think that the drawback of charging the closest enemy unit is going to be that much of a drawback. Really, I think that basically that tends to be how World Eaters players just play, just in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah,
The thing I think as a player going against this, or sorry, as sorry, the player taking this, you might want to take slightly. There's two ways you go about doing it, which is that you might want to take slightly smaller units to be able to kick in the check. You know, where you were taking 20 guys before in a unit, you might want to go, well, I'll take 15 now because I want to try and get the check to kick in sooner. Will be the first thing. Um, and then I think it'll be interesting around where you put your characters because your characters, you know, will have higher leadership and you'll be able to roll off of there. So, like, are you just going to put them, you know, your despoilers, you're going to be less likely to put Khan with them because he'll force them to
yeah,
have a higher leadership. So you're going to put
yeah,
Khan with another unit that has like leadership 10 or whatever. And then the other thing, I think the opposite, you know, from the opponent's point of view, are you just going to be a bit more wary about shooting units that are smaller, first of all? And are you just going to go, I'm not going to shoot that tasty target there because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to trigger the loss to the nail. So I think that from the opponent's point of view, they'll have to consider what they shoot at probably a little bit more carefully if an opponent uses this. I think it's really, really cool. I really, you know, those moments where in the Battle of Armatura, where they're like lost to the nails and trying to control, like,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
like it demonstrates that really well. But I think, um, I suspect if the other Legion rule is just +1 attack, I suspect most people will probably just
Just go for that.
stay
Yeah,
safe and go with that,
yeah.
I think.
I think
But
it.
I like it nonetheless.
I think if you've set, I mean, I know this is very niche, but if you've like built an army around, you know, affecting people's leadership, and you
Yeah.
play this, it would be very frustrating because it's like, well, actually, like
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. They
Yeah.
want to fail their leadership check.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it strange. I'm not sure why it is like why fail a leadership check that they then get angry. I don't. That bit I
Mm.
can't really understand because normally it's just they get close to something they want to punch it in the face, not they
Yeah,
get scared of
yeah,
something they
yeah.
want
It's
to punch it in
interesting
the face.
whether it would have been better to check it on the willpower because
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's kind of like a that's a Khan thing, isn't it? Like he does succumb to the nails, but he's less likely to succumb to the nails just
He
because of
can.
his pure will
Yeah, yeah,
stops
yeah. He
him.
can keep control for longer
Yeah.
because he yeah
Mm.
he's so focused on keeping the legion
Yeah.
together.
I think yeah,
But
I
yeah, I
think
like it.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think unless this is clarified further in the Liber, I think one of the obvious things here just suggests to me, well, if you fail the leadership check again, you become lost to the nails again,
Just
and
keep
then
going.
and
Yeah.
then basically you're just going to be yeah, essentially fearless. Although I guess you can be pinned and things like that. They're removed at the time of failing the leadership check. So okay, so yeah, suppressing them, pinning them, you can still do those things. It's the leadership check you just need to be mindful of.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, interesting. It will be interesting to see how this plays. And then the next thing we saw is the Breaker Iron Warriors Gambit. So this, I believe, is
I
Perturabo's
bet you were all over this one,
Gambit.
you?
I love this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
brilliant.
what you like. I mean, Heresy has kind of always, especially second edition, been shooting heavy.
Mhm.
So what better than just being able to shoot in close combat?
Love it.
Like,
Love it.
so the Breaker, yeah, if Perturabo is in a challenge with someone, this Gambit can. One thing I will say here, just one thing I do like is with these Gambits is they tell you exactly where it kicks in, which
Yeah.
is something we didn't have with more the reactions. Obviously, Gambit wasn't a thing, but
Yeah.
reactions of second edition, like they literally will tell you step four,
Yeah.
the face
Yeah.
off step. So
Yeah.
I do like that. I know these are quite wordy,
Yeah.
these rules, but they're wordy and make sense. Whereas second edition was really wordy, and then at
Yeah.
the end of it, you still had no
Yeah.
idea
I
what
think
the
it's
fuck he
I
was
think
doing.
one of the criticisms that people have leveled at it is like saying that, oh man, this is like equally as wordy as second edition. Yeah, like, but it's to clear up any ambiguity because one of the issues with second edition was that there was just loads of ambiguity
Yeah,
around stuff. And
It's just-
so I just
yeah,
think that like it's just words. You can read words, it's fine. Like I understand that some
yeah,
people
yeah,
completely will be like smashing their keyboard in the comments right now as I'm saying this, but like once you've played it like two times,
it's
you'll know
fine, isn't
the
it?
first few
Yeah,
games will be
yeah,
slow, but like
yeah.
yeah, it's just yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like being the is, but I think the other thing to consider is that there was so much ambiguity in second edition
Oh
that it's
God.
so important that they cleaned things up
Mm.
and just made it really clear where it happened. Yeah.
So this gambit can only be selected during the first face-off step of a challenge. If this gambit is selected, this model does not make attacks during the subsequent strike step. Instead, this model's controlling player can select a single friendly unit composed of models with the Iron Warriors trait that was within 12 inches of any enemy model in that combat and not locked in combat, and make a shooting attack with that unit. So basically, you choose a
Yeah.
model. Iron Warriors unit within 12 inches, and they can
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah, but they're
Snapshots,
not allowed to be in that combat already,
they're not
right?
allowed to be in that combat,
Yeah,
but they make snapshots, and it only affects the enemy model that is in the challenge.
that's really cool.
So basically, just have your last cannon squad following Perturabo around. I mean, I kind of feel like it's probably never going to happen, and
Yeah,
unless you're in a combat with another Primarch, I feel like I
yeah,
hope Perturabo would be able to take care of that challenge himself. But the one
yeah.
thing I love about this is it's just such a Perturabo thing, isn't it?
Isn't
It's
it
like I can't be
just?
bothered fighting you.
Yeah,
Shoot
yeah.
him.
I think you've got to if you are playing Iron Warriors and you come
You have
across
to do this.
Perturabe, well that one, but also how how aggressively are you going to play? Are you going to go straight towards him where he's surrounded by
Yeah,
his
yeah,
army?
yeah,
Like, or are
yeah.
you going to wait for try and bait him to come out into the open because you don't want to get hit by a 10-man lasgun squad? You know, deep striking armies go in and they're just like, fine, which unit shall I pick around me to be able to do the breaker the breaker, right? So yeah, I think this is brilliant, really, really, really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, like it a lot. Uh, and then the next one we have is the Night
Yeah.
Lord's advanced reaction.
This is
So
the
what?
same. This is the same as before, right? Like this isn't. This one hasn't changed from previous edition. I don't
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the same. It allows you to fall
So
back, and then when it's
yes,
a target, and then you basically automatically regroup from there.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah,
So one thing it does mention in the article is that night fighting is no longer a thing. Thank
yeah.
fuck.
Hmm.
It then said like Night Lords have spread access to fear, but then it
Mm.
didn't really go into any more detail.
No,
And it
but they did
also,
have like so again, if you're new or haven't played Night Lords before, so they used to have access or quite a lot of access to like trophies of judgment. That used to be like war gear
yes.
they could buy, but characters had it as well, and that just created like a fear bubble from what I remember. So that those I think will be quite good, especially with heavy flamers in there.
Well, that's what the article mentions. Yeah,
Yeah,
it talks about that. And then it talked about medium and heavy cover, which I don't
yeah.
think is something they've mentioned before.
No, but it was in the leaked rules, the light, medium, and heavy cover, and they give different kinds of cover saves and kind of like
Oh,
there's different rules around it as well.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is their advanced reaction. It can only be used once per game. But yeah, like you say, they can essentially fall back from a charge and then
It'll be
regroup.
interesting to see with medium and heavy cover, like how that is done at events and whether event organizers will just go, everything is medium cover, or
Yeah.
whether they'll be like, come around to each table and be like, that's light, that's it, yeah, medium, that's it. Or whether they just say,
I
it's up to
think,
you guys to decide, like, you decide what you think it is and
yeah.
then
I
crack
mean,
on.
if you go back to first edition, it just used to be a conversation you had before you
Yeah,
played a
yeah,
game.
100%.
You just
But
say
yeah,
like, this is ruins, four
yeah,
plus, four
yeah,
plus, four plus. This
yeah,
is this 5 plus or whatever it was, five
yeah,
plus, 6 plus. Um, so I don't think it's particularly hard to do something like that. But yeah,
no,
it will be interesting
yeah,
if events just say fucking everything's medium
yeah,
or
yeah,
buildings
yeah,
are
yeah,
heavy, you know,
yeah.
creatures are light, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point actually. Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, yeah. So I quite like this. This is quite a cool one. I think
yeah, really cool. Yep, very
very
fitting.
Night Lordsy, just running
Yeah,
away.
yeah. It was always a nightmare. Like, well, it was a nightmare for the Lords player if they rolled a 2, but if they rolled a 12, it's like, oh, they've got away and they're not off the table. That always just happened to me when I played with Tom. It was annoying as fuck.
And then they talked about standout units. So whoever this person was, I can't remember now. Apologies. Talk about the Thousand Suns Saturnine Dreadnought with the Pavoni Prosperine Arcana. So we can see that Arcanas are still a thing. At the cost of reaction point, you can use the stone formed psychic reaction to give the model +2 toughness for the range of the shooting subphase,
Hmm.
making it a mighty toughness 10.
I can't wait. I can't wait to play Thousand Suns now. I'm so looking forward to playing against this. This is going to
Yeah,
be such a good, fun game.
I think because I think there is no instant death now,
No.
so creating like the ultimate toughness is probably less powerful as what it was, but it will still
Yeah.
protect you from certain weapons.
It's the wounds. So where I think
Yes,
toughness is
affecting
going
you
to
to
play,
wound. Yeah,
yeah, because I think we are so skewed by our view on strength 8 and strength 10. Those two
yeah,
are like the key numbers in the game,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the important ones when playing legions, and strength 10 because of battle hardened. Now I think it's going to be about how tough you are because it's going to it will make you harder to wound,
Yeah,
and
I think it's going to
that's going to be
be
the metric, I
your
think.
toughness and the damage output of weapons.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that's not really something that's now your instant death
That
essentially, isn't it?
100% is, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then it add to that its thermal diffraction field, and you have even less cannon and multi-melters wounding it on sixes,
Yeah,
which
so that
is
must
fucking
be so
insane.
las cannons and multi must be then at -1 strength because they're um because lascannons are strength 9. We know that already.
Oh,
Um,
maybe unless the thermal diffraction field just automatically affects weapons, they can only wound on 6 because they've done that.
Interesting.
I've
I
seen that
think
with
there's
some other
been a
things.
previous article already that has said something about this thermo. I think it was in the lore article, maybe. Like somebody
Right.
in the comments will be able to tell us. I think it's just a flat -1 strength
Oh, okay.
to
Okay.
las, plasma, volkite, flame, multi melters as well. All the tough stuff, which makes like
Interesting.
Saturnine. Like you can imagine, Iron Hand Saturnine is pretty going to be pretty
Mm.
resilient to this. Yeah, yeah,
This is great until Perils of the Warp inevitably removes its last wound and it explodes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then they also talk about Ashen Circle for the word bearers, whose role on the battlefield is clearer than ever before. This unit steers hard into the, well, I mean, it didn't have a role
no,
previously.
no, we rarely
This
saw
unit
this.
steers hard into the new tactical statuses with their Akkadic hand flamers causing panic too, hitting opponents with the routed condition even before you charge them, almost guaranteeing you victory points for them. Vanguard
Yeah,
free
it's a good
special
point.
rule.
Good point. Good point.
Uh, and then their axes have Phage M, which hamstrings enemy units you wound for the rest of the game. So I presume that affects the enemy movement.
Yeah,
But for the
so
rest of the
that's
game,
interesting. Yeah, interesting. Okay, Phage. Yeah, that's interesting. I yeah, I wonder if the it's interesting that these axes have Phage M. Um, but I oh right, and so Phage M hamstrings enemy units. Yeah, so that must be Phage movement, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
there
yeah.
must be so like I wonder whether like rad grenades have phage toughness,
Ooh,
and that's going to be that. Like
yeah.
phage is just the umbrella term of
Yeah,
like,
I think
yeah,
that's yeah, yeah, yeah. I hadn't thought about that though. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that's all it will be. Yeah,
I,
phages essentially.
yeah,
Yeah,
I also
reduce by
suspect.
one or whatever.
I suspect hand flamers with panic 2 are going to be very rare.
Yes,
I think that most
yes.
flamers are going to be panic 1, and I think these guys are like, if you can get some fear in there somehow, a check of -3 on the leadership is going to be pretty savage, I think.
Unless you're fighting world eaters,
Yeah. They welcome your panic
and
2
then
and
they
fear
want to
bubble.
be bathed
Yeah,
in your
in
Panic
flamers.
2 hand flamers as they then crush you. But yeah, I like this. Hopefully, we see some Ashen Circle because they're fucking awesome.
They are amazing models, yeah.
They're a bit small now, but I still love them. I love them.
They can still
They
just about
hold
get
their
away
own.
with it because they're
Yeah,
kind of like on one legs and kind of
yeah,
like,
they're in.
yeah,
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 but the
posers.
models are fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
And I love their axes as well.
yeah, very
So
cool.
hopefully these get some playtime now. And then the next article was Mechanicum, and this is one that I have to say I was finding it a little confusing trying to get my head around how everything works, but
Mm.
this is where I come back to. I think it's just because they're giving you little snippets of information. I think
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
actually read the Liber, it will make more sense. But essentially, the primary detachment of a Mechanicum force will be entirely composed of the Archmagos, Magos, and Tech Priest units, with each belonging to a high-tech arcana. So it sounds like, whereas with it sounds like Astartes will have a different primary detachment to Mechanicum.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and then it says auxiliary and apex detachments, and I quote here: all units in each must share the same high-tech arcana.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
So
that makes
you
sense.
take a Magos, and then you can take a detachment for that Magos, but it
Mm.
has to have the same high-tech arcana,
Right,
which I
yeah,
quite like the way they've done that.
yeah.
So you're not just taking, a Magos with Reductor, and then
Mm.
you're taking, I don't know, uh, Castellax
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Cybernetica because it doesn't
yeah,
make any sense. So
yeah.
basically, I think yeah, you essentially
You're locked
take a
to a,
command. You take
yeah,
a command with a high tech arcana, and then you can take a detachment, but they have to have the same
yeah,
high tech arcana.
yeah.
An Archmagos unlocks one of 6 unique apex detachments based around their particular high tech arcana. So this will be like I said like you have Macrotech and Reductor
Reductor,
and
yeah, cybernetic, yeah,
Cybernetica and la 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 la. They gave not I can't remember the fucking
lacromata as well.
Lacromata, yeah.
Yeah.
So the example they gave, so your Archmagos unlocks one of six unique Apex detachments, and then those Apex detachments gain prime advantages. And the example given was of Macrotech. So if you take Macrotech Archmagos, then you can unlock the Iron Phalanx Apex detachment, which allows you to bring up to three armor units, so three tanks, and three heavy transport units. And they all benefit from the Macrotech's Prime Conveyor. And the Macrotech's Prime Conveyor is this prime advantage may only be selected for a unit composed of a single model with a vehicle type that does not also have the super heavy subtype, so has to be a single vehicle. A model for which this prime advantage is selected gains a bonus of +1 to its front and side armor values to a maximum of 14, +2 to its hull points characteristic. If the unit selected includes any models with a transport subtype, then the transport capacity of those models is also modified by
Whoa.
+2.
Okay.
So that's insane.
Can we just go back to back to Iron Phalanx Apex attachments, which can bring up to three armor units and three heavy transport, which all benefit from the Prime Conveyor.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck. So those armor units, like that's tank armor units, is it? That's referring
Yeah,
to.
well, armor unit is
Yeah.
a tank. Yeah,
Whoa. So you could have like a one of those like Karachnos, the
yeah.
Karachnos,
You could
right?
have three of them.
Jeez, and then now +1 on the front, +1 on the front and the side.
Yeah.
You could have the Krios like Venator +1 and on the side and the front. Man alive,
Yes.
that's gonna
Yes.
be
Yes.
well. That's it. That's the most popular one ever, isn't it? I mean,
Ah, well, we
right.
don't know.
All Legion
We don't
players
know.
are
We
totally
haven't
screwed
seen.
looking at this. This is,
We
is
haven't seen what else they will give us. But
whoa.
yeah, so I quite like the way they've done this. But the way it
Yeah.
was I had to kind of break this down because the way it was written in the article was just a little bit like they tell you stuff, but you're like, how the fuck does that actually
Yeah,
work?
I think the other thing to say with the Mechanicum is that it is a complicated list
Yes.
in and of itself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
what would be classed as a like a normal transport and a heavy transport for
I don't
Mechanicum?
know because surely they only have
One,
the I can't think what it's
the
called.
Triaras.
Priaris, yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Unless
interesting.
that's considered heavy transport, because I mean it
Yeah,
kind of is essentially
yeah.
a I
So
mean it was always like
armor
AV-14
14
on
on the front, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm
with
sure
a
it was.
flare shield.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that's what they class.
Unless the
We don't know.
Macrotech Explorator is coming back at some point,
Oh, that would be.
because that
But
would be
then
the equivalent, wouldn't
if that's armor value 14 on the front, then you're not getting anything
and
out
then the
of the armor
bonuses,
value
yeah.
14.
Interesting.
But that's more for the armor, isn't it? But you're getting
Yeah.
two extra hull points. But again, the one thing I would say is the article said every single one unit in that detachment gains this.
Yeah.
But sometimes these Warcom articles are just wrong.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that might not be a thing, but it
Yeah.
kind of sounds like it is.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I like how they're fitting some theme into these detachments
Yeah.
by giving them rules. So then they went on to talk about kind of Mechanicum armies in the past tended to be lower model count and focus around Cybernetica, Reductor, and Myrmidax units. And they kind of just waffle on about how these will have different weapons. But the one thing that they kind of said is that Mechanicum units are going to be cheaper now, so you'll be able to take more. And the Mechanicum retain their resilience. Like that's one of the things has always been that they have been resilient.
Mm.
Um,
I take umbrage with this article while lacking the massed firepower. I agree they lacked combat prowess, but Mechanicum just like they were capable of like just shooting you off the board.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
show me on the doll where the Myrmidons touched you, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
these
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
firepower is no messing around. And so what they're basically saying is so they I'm fine with them keeping their toughness, like that's fine. But they're now going to be cheaper. Is their firepower going to be the same? Because I'm going to be fighting
I
more
I think
models
what
here.
they've I mean I take this as two ways. One, it's a Warcom article and they're just talking bollocks just to try and hype it up. Or two, Mechanicum units are going to be cheaper. They're going to be just as durable as they have been, but their firepower is going to be even worse.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
like they're going to make their weapons a little bit shitter. So
Yeah,
you
that's
can
why.
you can
Yeah, I don't mind that.
no
I never found that Mechanicum being um uh kind of having a small model count. I don't think I've ever, and rarely are Mechanicum players being tabled. I think is like so. It's interesting that
no.
they've gone
Um,
down that route.
I mean you could always take oh fucking hell, what they called the dickheads
The Myrmidons,
no, just their little human cyborg robot
the tech thralls.
tech
Yeah,
thralls. So I mean, you could always do massed army mechanicum
yeah. Just nobody ever did.
list.
Yeah,
No, because people can't be. I mean, initially people couldn't afford the amount of resin
yeah,
to do it, and now people can't be bothered making all the plastic ones.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like I say, I take these Warcom articles with a pinch of salt. Sometimes they say stuff just to say stuff, and actually, it's not representative of what we're actually getting. So then they went on to say each of the sub-factions of the Mechanicum now gain access to cyberthergic rites. So this is obviously something we've always had. Powerful buffing abilities that mean your magi and tech priests will be even more important when getting the best out of your units.
Yeah, and
And
just to say, cyberthurgic rights were essentially Mechanicum psychic powers. They weren't
yeah,
psychic powers, but
yeah,
essentially they operated
that's
the same as
basically
psychic
what they
powers.
were.
Yeah,
Enabling to make them faster, stronger, and tougher. My favorite of the rights so far is Flesh Knit protocols available to Lacrimata tech priests, allowing them to boost the movement and initiative or the strength and toughness of Ursarax models, closely followed by Order Reductors unseal the portals which can force a transport building or fortification to immediately eject anyone inside before suffering cyberthergic feedback. So the one thing I will say here, and this is again that I don't really understand, is it specifically says of Ursarax models, but then
mm.
if you read the rules for it, it doesn't mention just Ursarax models anywhere, unless
That's
I'm missing
interesting.
something.
No,
So I don't know if we've not got the full rule here, or again, if
yeah,
Wacom are just talking shit.
yeah.
But the Lacrimata Cyberthergic Right, so it's difficulty 2. I don't really know what that
So
means.
surely it means that it'll be leadership and then -2 on that. I would have thought,
Oh,
or sorry,
interesting.
a
Yes, yeah,
willpower
yeah.
check, and then it'll be -2.
Minus
And
2.
this was, if you cast your mind back to first edition, this was I seem to remember how it was before, where basically like
Yes.
really good
Yeah,
ones
you did a.
were harder to
Yes.
get off. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Yeah, they were, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's interesting.
Since it's range 12 inch, it says restrictions. The target unit for this cyberthergic right must be a friendly unit that is not locked in combat and includes only models with the Lacrimata trait. So, unless Ursarax are the only ones that can take the Lacrimata trait, I don't know where that Ursarax comes from,
Mm.
unless I've missed something. Effects when invoked, the cyberthergic right grants all models in the target unit one of the following cyberthergic statuses chosen by the controlling player. And
So
the statuses are either quicken or fortify. And if we go back to what it says in the little blurb I just read, it says movement and initiative
yeah,
or strength and toughness. So quicken will
yeah.
probably improve movement and initiative, fortify strength and toughness.
Mm.
This cybersurgic status granted by the cybersurgic right is automatically removed in the controlling player's next start phase and
Yeah,
after
fine.
the
It just yeah,
cybersurgic
fine,
status.
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
But then it says phase, and after the cyberthergic status is removed, the target unit suffers cyberthergic feedback. So you do this,
Yeah.
and then they suffer. I don't know what cyberthergic feedback looks like now.
It might just
So,
be well, yeah, but like this says it'll be some sort of check or it's just automatically D3 wins. So yeah,
so
interesting.
that's where I'm a bit like, oh, you know what? I guess it depends, doesn't it? If you really need to like make your unit tougher or something, but you're
Yeah.
going to take some sort of negative
Yeah.
impact. And then The reductor is unseal the portal, so it's
Do you want to just read
difficulty
the
3.
yeah? Do you want to just read the effect? Because I think that's the sexiest
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
That one, yeah.
Uh, I mean, yeah, essentially, this is against buildings, fortifications, or vehicles. When invoked, all models embarked on the target unit must immediately make an emergency disembarkation,
Okay, that's cool.
and the
I love
target
that.
unit suffers cyberthergic feedback.
Okay, all right,
So this
interesting.
is the target unit suffers cyberthurgic
So
feedback, whereas
the tank, yeah, the
yeah.
tank, yeah, yeah. Okay,
So this is
interesting.
good, and this is a bit like what they had in second
Yeah,
edition.
that's right. Yeah,
Reductor had
yeah,
a thing
yeah,
like this, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
really like it,
It's
but
really
I
good.
don't get what the fuck this has to do with Reductor. Like
Mm,
Reductor are all about massive weapons of destruction. They're all about
yeah,
artillery, siege weapons. And this is just kicking people out of a transport. So
yeah,
I
interesting.
like it. I think it's good,
Mm,
but I'm a bit like I I mean I felt the same in second edition.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just doesn't really feel like
I think yeah,
Reductor.
yeah. I think you need to change your view of Reductor. I think you're so 1.0 in your Reductor view
I mean,
nowadays.
maybe like when it was actually written what they were by the
Yeah, yeah.
person who created them.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
interesting, yeah, difficulty 3. So presumably like an Archmagos is gonna have willpower of 10. So they would be able to get this off on a 7. Like I
yeah, and it's
assume that's
only
gonna be
range
something like that.
6, so you got to be pretty
Really
close.
close. Wow.
But
Okay, yeah,
also,
yeah.
like just kicking a unit out of a vehicle and then
For the
murdering
lols.
it is
Yeah.
just like
Because the
brilliant.
intention here is to presumably charge it at such close range, but
Or just
you
gun it down with
yeah,
everything else around you.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, like yeah,
Cool.
you're kicking that powerful unit out of its Spartan or Land Raider or whatever it is, aren't you?
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, there you go. And then they went on to talk about Mechanicum have access to more arc, lightning, and rad weaponry than any other army. Many of these weapons have the potential to impose tactical statuses on enemy units, so it will
Hmm.
be interesting to see with Mechanicum if you really need to use, if they're not as good in close combat, do you really need to utilize like tactical statuses?
Yeah.
And then it went on to say that there's significant improvements to Ursarak, Skylax, and Borax. What they look like, we don't know.
Mm.
And then it said about the Domitar Battle Automata has a 2+ armor
Oh, you'll
save,
love that, won't you?
which is great.
You'll
Yeah.
love
It
that.
says about Graviton hammers, and I'm a
Right.
bit like, they've never been able to take Graviton hammers.
Okay,
Are
interesting.
you confusing Domitar
With
with
the
the
Iron
Iron
Circle.
Warriors, Iron
Yeah,
Circle?
interesting.
Or are Domitars now going to be able to take Graviton
No,
hammers?
I think that what it's saying here basically is like the Domitar Battle Automata is the umbrella term, so that I suspect means that the Iron Circle are also going to be a
Just
2-up save now.
basically, yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully, because they
yeah,
fucking should be.
yeah,
Domitar Fists and a Cyclone missile launcher. But yeah, the big thing from that is Domitars get a 2+ save.
yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay,
Yeah,
Domitars,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like them in last edition, and they're just going to be
Yeah,
more survivable now.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, and it's good to see
Although they
the.
were good in the last edition because they had Graviton, like their fists were
Oh, they
Graviton.
like had
They had the
Haywire, didn't they?
flamers, didn't they? The Haywire
Yeah,
flamers, and
okay, yeah, yeah.
Haywire's not really a thing now,
It
so it'll be
doesn't look
interesting
like
to
it is
see.
anymore.
But
Yeah.
are those flamers dishing out panic? Like, I
Oh, that's a good
imagine
point.
so.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Or
you,
they might be grav flamers, but they will probably be pinning like the grav on the Assassinine Terminator. That's where I
oh
think grav is
yes,
going
yeah,
now.
probably
Yeah,
yeah, which is pretty fucking good. Just be a slightly different way of playing them,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, cool.
But yeah,
Nice one.
that's cool. And then they showed the lightning cannon, so that's range 36, one shot, strength 7, AP 3, damage 2, blast 5 inches, shred 5+, breaching 5+, suppressive
Ooh, we
1.
haven't seen a lot of suppressive
No.
weapons as of yet, have we? So this is just going to be an absolute marine murderer, isn't it?
And
This
I
thing.
think, yeah, if we do we know if like sergeants aren't like is artificial armor an option? Do
I
we
don't
know
know.
this?
I don't know
No.
yet. No.
So as long as sergeants can't take artificial armor, this is going to be fucking insane
Yeah.
on infantry.
And the fact it's damage
Uh,
2 as well, it's just like
yeah,
really kill those Marines,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Plus the suppressing.
Yeah.
I love it. These are all.
I've got to say, I'm sure Mechanicum players are really excited. From everything in this article, just from a gut feeling, I'm quite worried about playing Mechanicum.
Oh, really?
They sound quite powerful. They were powerful in the last edition,
You should
um,
be. They've always been
and
powerful. They
yeah,
were
they've always been
ridiculous
powerful.
in first edition.
But you know, not many Marine players, I think, really kind of like rubbed their hands together and said, "Oh, you know what? I really want to play some and get beaten by Mechanicum, right?" And like I can just feel
Yeah,
Jarl's sweatiness right now, looking at his Mechanicum
yeah,
army, kind of going, "Oh,
sweaty balls.
how many lightning cannons can I fit into my list? How many macro tech cannons can I fit into
I
my
mean, it's
list?"
such a cool model as well. Like,
The
oh
Krios
God,
tank, like just as a whole, they look brilliant. Like they've done a
yeah,
great job
yeah,
converting everything to plastic.
yeah.
What worries me is the tears on Legion faces
Salty tears as your Marines are just being removed and pinned.
evaporated. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, that's that. And then what they released today was the Solar Auxilia.
yeah.
So they talked about Solar Auxilia work best when combining infantry, artillery, and armor. Whether that's true or not, we'll see. But it does feel like this edition is going to be the kind of all arms edition.
Combined arms, isn't it? Yeah.
They said have some of the toughest vehicles in the game, including the Lemon Russ and its fearsome frontal armor. They then go on to say that it's armor 14, so they don't have the toughest vehicles in the game. They just have some tough vehicles
Yeah.
because Land Raiders, Spartans, they're
They're all going to be
AV-14
14. Yeah.
all the way around. Did say that Lemon Russes can be included in large numbers, which will be good for all the tread heads out there,
Yeah.
and widespread access to artillery, which is fine. Hopefully, artillery isn't shit this edition. It talked a little bit about Basilisk and Medusa being strength 10 when stationary, and the Earthshaker cannon on the Basilisk has breaching 6 plus and pinning 1. What do you remember what breaching does this edition? I
Yeah,
can't
it's
remember.
AP2. It's AP2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the pinning is the thing for me. I think this is the way that artillery should be going. Is you're not looking to murder thousands. Like first edition, you just removed units. It wasn't fun. But I think, yeah, being able to pin units is going to be pretty huge. So it'll be interesting to see how people use their artillery in third edition. Hopefully, it makes a uh, comeback because you just didn't really see it in second edition, did you?
No, you saw endless laser rapiers from the Solar World space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then the trouble was in
And
first edition,
vanquishers.
but the first edition it just wasn't fun to play against. It was
No.
just like, oh, remove this unit. Oh,
Yeah.
strength
Yeah.
10 AP2, remove this unit.
100%.
So hopefully they found the sweet spot for artillery. But it's interesting. And then they talk about command sections. So each
Mm.
command section in the Solar Auxiliary will provide buffs to corresponding units. An example they gave was the line command section increases the value of the line X special rule for friendly units within line of sight of the troop master. So that's pretty huge. Like you can buff the scoring of scoring units. And then it explained that tercios are now auxiliary detachments unlocked by corresponding command section. And again, the example they gave is you take a line command section, and that allows you to take an infantry tercio, which allows you to take last rifle sections and Decrosian transport. So, you know, troops and transport choices. So I
Yeah.
quite like the way they're doing it. Essentially, you have to take a command element, and then
Yeah.
you unlock detachments from that command element. How
Mm.
that primary detachment will look, we don't really know until we see the Liber. But I quite like the way they've done it. You have your command elements because these are just normal dickhead humans. Like they need people. I mean, these are the tippy top of dickhead humans, but they still need people telling them what to do. So it'll be interesting. And then it talks about each cohort has additional rules called cohort doctrines, but I don't really know what a cohort is because this
Oh, okay.
talks about
Yeah. So the cohort last time,
detachments.
yeah, so I think the cohort last time was just the overriding rule. It's essentially your legion rule, but
Right.
for your army. That's what it was
Oh,
previously.
okay. So then this calls it
Yeah.
cohort tactica, which is
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have
So
the
this is how
Legion
you would theme
Tacticus.
your entire
Right.
Solar
Okay.
Orcs army, presumably.
So the example they gave was the reconnaissance pattern cohort, and then models of this special rule and the cavalry type can control objects and move further as part of the evade reaction. So models with this special rule, which also have the cavalry type, may hold, control, and contest objectives and increase their initiative characteristic to 5 while performing the evade reaction.
Yeah.
Which sounds great, but you have limited reactions you can make in this edition.
Hmm.
So you're not going to be holding loads of objectives because you're probably only going to be able to do it once in your turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounds fine, but my immediate thought was, well, you have to use a reaction to get
Hmm.
your tactica,
Yeah. So
which I
yeah,
don't know.
there's a couple of things. So the first one is that uh like the running away bit from the evade reaction sounds, yeah, as you say, fine in principle, but you're only probably going to be able to do it once per assault phase. And then the second thing is that it just basically unlocks those little walkers as troops, or that
Yeah,
they have line. But what we don't know is that they might only have like line one or line nothing, or you know what I mean? Like it might be that you kind of go, oh well, I'm always going to lose to people who've got line three. And but what it does mean is that it's a slightly lower model count, presumably because of the way that
yeah.
this army will be
But
constructed.
the way this words it is you can hold, control, and contest objectives
Yeah.
whilst performing the evade reaction.
No, I think they're I think they're separate. I think they're separate because
Oh,
it says model, because at the top it says models with a special rule and
okay.
can
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
control
yeah, yeah.
objectives
I was
and
going to say,
move
because
further.
otherwise it's like,
No,
what's the fucking
they're not
point?
linked together.
Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They should have
So,
been separate sentences because they're
yeah.
different. Yeah.
So, models with this special rule, which also have the cavalry type, may hold, control, and contest
Yeah.
objectives. Full
That's
stop.
that's the most important bit, isn't it? Yeah.
Also, whilst performing the evade reaction, they are initiative characteristic 5. Okay, yeah, fair on. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I like that a lot more now. I like the idea of this. I like the fact that it's a little bit of theme. Like you want to take a reconnaissance force, you can build a reconnaissance force, and like you say, those little walkers are pretty fucking cool. And we've talked about doing an allied detachment. This would be quite a cool allied detachment.
Yeah, this would be
But
brilliant.
like a legion, for me, like I like the idea of Iron Warriors, and they send these dickheads out ahead of them to just get blown up.
Yeah, I like this.
So I think that would be quite cool. So yeah, I like this. And then they tell us that the Legionnaires Auxilia rules will be in the Liber, and again the example they gave is the Therion Velites. The Legionnaires Auxilia of the Raven Guard Legion, and that replaces its form, ranks, advanced reaction with displacement,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck that
Displacement
is.
is, yeah, that's interesting. That's going to be, yeah, it's interesting that they've got their own um is it the yeah, their own advanced reaction. I think that's quite cool. What
Yeah,
I
so
would be interested to see here is that basically you get your displacement on your Raven Guard advanced reaction and your displacement on your Solar Orcs, or are they just saying that no, no,
yeah.
no, it's just one, like what you only have one advanced reaction, like between the power
And
of
it'd be
them. So
interested to know, do they get their own tacticas and stuff, or is
yeah,
it just like an advanced reaction?
yeah, yeah,
So again,
yeah,
they kind of give you a little bit, but they
yeah,
don't really let you know what's happening. But it's
yeah.
cool to know, like Legionnaires Auxilia still exists; it's still a thing.
And they're going to
I
be in the rule
didn't,
books as well.
and they're going to
That's
be in
what
the
they
rule
said.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, which is cool. I like that a lot.
yeah,
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 yeah.
that's good.
And then they talk about standout units. Last rifle section can shoot, like cool.
Yeah,
The Ogrons,
yeah.
Charonite Ogron section. So it tells us they have 4 wounds each and toughness 5.
We've already seen that they actually previewed
Oh, they did, didn't
the
they? Fuck, I
Ogrins.
forgot
Yeah,
all about it.
and they
Yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
like like leadership 10 or 12 or
But
something.
they
It
were
was
like
like,
leadership fuck all, weren't they?
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think no, they were intelligence like
Oh,
3.
intelligence. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
quite
yeah.
high across the rest of
Yes.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I love the models. The
yeah,
models are fucking brilliant.
yeah,
And then it talks about Le Mans Russ strike tank. So it's front armor 14, 6 hull points. and can take weapons. And one of those weapons is the battle cannon, which is range 48, one shot, strength 8, AP 4, damage 2, heavy AP. So when it stays still, it's AP 3, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
3-inch blast, pinning 1. So yeah, fine.
Well, I've got to say, at this moment in time, it doesn't look like any Marine players, tactical Marines, are going to be staying on the board anytime soon,
No, I
does
would
it? From
say this
these
is
two
only a
Legion armies.
3-inch blast though, whereas the
Oh right. Oh
Mechanicum was a
good. Oh
five
right. Oh
inch
goody. Right.
five
Yeah.
inch blast.
No good.
So as long as you're spacing your dudes out, you're not going to lose. The big thing here is
Yeah.
pinning, isn't it? You only
Until
have
somebody
to.
takes 10 Lehman Russ on the
I
list, of
mean, there
course.
is that. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, uh, I can't remember what the battle cannon. The battle cannon was dog shit in second edition,
Yeah,
wasn't it? I
nobody.
seem
Well,
to
nobody
think.
took it. Nobody took it because they took the
No.
plasma executioners and
Yeah.
they took the vanquishers. Those were
I
the two
mean,
most
we
common
haven't
ones.
seen those ones yet, so maybe they'll be
Frightening.
completely loco,
Yeah. Yeah.
and actually we will still never see the battle can. But yeah, that's that. And then they talked a little bit about what is coming, and I will
This
say
was a
here,
big article for people. This one. This was
yes,
huge. This.
this
Yeah.
I am so happy they've done this. There is one little thing that I moaned about on our little chat group that no one else seemed to give a fuck about. But like, I will take my hat off to GW. So they've already said before, like, these are the levers coming out on release. So you got Astartes, Hereticus, Auxilia Mechanicum, and your Questoris Knights and Titans. And then they went on to tell us that there will be free PDFs covering the smaller factions such as Demons of the Runestorm, Imperialis Militia, and Black Shields. Now, I am a little bit surprised that Black Shields isn't just in one of the Libers or both the
Hmm.
Libers, but they're getting a PDF. And then it talks about Talons of the Emperor, which you already knew. They'll get an initial PDF, and then they will get a Liber later on.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this just
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
briefly because this is the one that really excites me, and I to be honest with you, I think the custodies have stood the test of time, those models, quite well,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
agreed. Yeah.
but they are just looking a little bit dated in comparison to say like Primaris, and if you have a look at like the animation with the tithe where like we had that female custody speaking
Right. Yeah.
to that like she towers literally towers over them, so
Yeah.
I wonder whether this is just a gearing up of a general kind of like rebrand and kind of retooling and remodeling of custodies just in general that's going to happen
Right.
across the 40k 30k spheres, or whether this will just be 30k specific and whether actually we'll get a custodies like models and range that are kind of like specific to custodians in the 31st millennium,
Yeah.
and then 40k can kind of like do its thing with its aquilon with its Aquila Terminators, are they called?
Oh,
Which are
fuck knows.
those
Yeah.
three, yeah, those
The
ones.
shit.
But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. But we'll get a PDF, as you say, on launch for Talons of the Emperor. And I think the other one is I really hope that Custodes and Sisters are a combined army list now. I'd much prefer that in the
Yeah.
way that they did it before. But we're getting a proper book for these guys much later or later
Yeah.
in the
So they
timeline of Heresy, right?
did. So the other thing they mentioned was legacies,
It's
which is
in.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like again, this is just like good for putting people's minds at ease.
this
Like,
is great. Yeah, really
you
good.
know, so your characters, your models that they no longer sell, you'll still be able to use. My fear is that they do what they did in second edition, where they make them completely shit. So it's almost
Well,
not
some were
worth
shit. Well, some
taking
were
them.
shit, and then some were so good. I mean, the Locutaurus were like absolutely bananas, and the Fulmentaurus when they came out, they had like
When they
five
came out,
Thunderhammers.
and then they
Yeah,
fucking whacked him with that Nerf hammer.
yeah, never to be
So it'll be
seen
interesting to
again.
see. Hopefully, it's not just an afterthought. They've actually put some love into that. And then they gave us a timeline.
Brilliant.
Um, and this is like this is amazing. Like this is brilliant. You know exactly when your army list is coming out. The one thing I had a bit of a moan about was why isn't it all just being released when the game's released? Like if you only have a Black Shields army, your hype for this edition, and I know like all the joke, oh, there's only 3 people that run Black Shields, but now those 3 people have to sit there for
Yeah.
3 months just doing fuck all. Like if
Yeah.
I played a Black Shields army, I'd be done now. That'd be me like, well, fuck it. I'm not paying any attention.
Yeah.
And then in October, I'll pick up a rule book and,
Yeah.
like I just don't get why they can't, like, I think I want to reiterate, like, it's brilliant that they're doing it. And this isn't coming as a surprise. Like previously, you'd have just not got a PDF and people would have not known what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Like at least this way, you know what's happening. There's no surprise, like you haven't got a PDF, dickhead. I just don't get why they can't just. They must surely they've written them. Surely they're there. Like why do you have to drag it out if you've only got a militia army? And I know why they do it because they want people to do a Space Marine army, don't they? They want them to
Yes.
buy all the new
They're
shit. So I
forcing.
know
Yes, this is
why
exactly the
they
reason,
do it.
right? They're like, so it will probably be
But
a
ninety
combination of
percent
things.
of the time, it doesn't work. This to me, I would not be like, oh, you know what? Fuck it, I'll do a Legion army. I'd be like, fuck you, GW. Like, I'm not going to do anything. And yeah, I'm just going to sit here and wait. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I have mixed feelings on this. I kind
I
of.
I don't mind so much about that mainly because I don't play those armies.
I think that's
I
the biggest
was
thing, though, isn't it? If
most
you
people don't.
played a Black Shield army, you'd be here now going, "Fuck you, GW."
Yeah, you're not
Whereas
wrong.
because you don't, no
You're
one
not
gives
wrong.
a fuck.
Yeah.
But I do feel
Um,
sorry for the people that play it because there's all the hype, your new edition, people trying out games down the club, blah blah
yeah.
blah blah, and you're just sat there going, "Well, fucking brilliant! I
In
can't do
the
anything."
in the cuck chair watching people
Yeah,
play, right?
literally in the wardrobe,
Yeah.
watching your wife get absolutely rattled, whilst you just sit there with your limp dick in hand.
I so
Anyways,
but there's two things I'd bring out of this. Interesting that Legiones and Ducti, which I thought was a massive part of
yeah, yeah,
the like second edition and like a big part of Siege of Colonia, is going in a PDF. Like
yeah.
absolutely mad. And also just to say this. What you've put up now is actually different from when they put up originally because they wrote
Oh,
Legiones and Ducti's army lists, and I think that was just like a copy and pasting thing. But
oh,
interesting, yeah, interesting that it's just not in the Libras, considering that lots of people are clearly made in Ducti kind of like miniatures.
yeah.
And disappointing to see that Zone Mortalis rules are not just out from the go because I really, really enjoy Zone Mortalis.
But then it's
I know a lot
weird.
of people do, and yeah, it's a real
I
shame.
I think that will be our first journal because they said the Zone Mortalis rules will be coming out in a journal.
Yeah, no, but it won't be the first. It won't be the first journals
No, the
coming.
first journal's coming out on
Yeah,
release, isn't
you
it?
reckon the
But sorry, I
second
think
one?
that will be the first journal post release.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Unless we get one before. I mean, maybe some of these, maybe the Black Shield's army list will be a journal. We don't know,
Yeah.
do we?
Yeah. No.
Although
No. I
this
guess
does
not.
say digital download, so
Yeah.
I doubt it. The Shattered Legions one, I'm surprised at because I feel like you could just make a Shattered Legions list. The
Yeah.
way the
Well.
Allied
Yeah.
detachment works, you can
Just do that anyway now.
we
Yeah.
just do it. So that'll be interesting to see. But like I say, like hats off to GW for once they've not kept us in the fucking dark.
Yeah.
This is like Forge World, fucking 10
Levels
years
of
ago,
yeah.
15
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually telling you what's coming.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, apologies if you only have a demon army or a black shield army. Like you just have to wait, I'm afraid.
You're fucked.
But at least you know, because previously you'd have just been waiting. Where the fuck's my PDF?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
cool.
think it's an
That is it.
interesting move. It was an interesting move to not release this as one of the very first articles.
I think yeah, it's yeah,
Like, I think one of the things that you said throughout this episode, but also previously, is about putting people's minds at ease
yeah,
and telling people what armies are coming is one of the key pillars in putting
yeah,
people's minds at
yeah,
ease. And so you almost like, next time, it would be good to see that as the second article
yeah,
following like
yeah.
a new edition is coming. So people are like, yeah, great, perfect. I
Cool.
know what to
Yeah,
expect. Like,
yeah,
brilliant. I know Black Shields are coming. Like, I can carry on working on them for a bit or whatever. But I know why they've done it. I also think it seems that there's going to be a steady stream of releases in terms of plastics coming out, but also all those PDF rules, spreading them out in that way makes it feel like it's like bulked out, I guess, like as well.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
bulks
yeah,
out the
yeah.
time frame between now and the end of the year. One other thing to mention in that article is that Heresy Thursdays are going, aren't they? So there won't be
Oh, yes,
a
yeah,
Heresy
yeah, yeah,
Thursday,
yeah.
and like that's fine. We've got plenty to be cracking on with.
I
Like
mean, no other
nobody's
game
gonna mind
system has a Thursday or a Wednesday or anything,
a
you know what I
dedicated
mean?
day. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't think we can cry too hard on that, especially as they have been absolutely firing them out lately.
yeah,
Obviously, because it's a build up to the new edition, it makes
yeah.
sense. But I feel like they have kind of gone above and beyond. I don't follow 40k, so I don't know, but I
No.
feel like this is more than 40k ever got. I could
Mm,
be wrong on that because I don't play it, but
mm.
yeah, my hype is high. I am super excited.
Yeah.
I just want the fucking Libras now. I just want to let's go. Let's do it. Like,
Let's
come
make
on.
some lists. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting. Also, just as a final thought, it's interesting that there are still perhaps not as much as there was, but some people are still really negative and down on a new edition of Horus Heresy, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
always going to be a thing, isn't it? There's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm only playing second edition." And it's like, but did you play first edition? Because that's what a lot of people said when second edition came out. And maybe some people did play first edition, but I've not heard of a single first edition event being run
no,
during second edition. Maybe it did, but
no.
I haven't heard of it. I think, like, what I would say is just give it a go.
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah,
give it a go. You might
yeah.
enjoy it. If you fucking give it a go and hate it, then
Fair
you
play,
know,
right?
you'll be able
Yeah,
to buy a rule book off eBay for like 20, 25 quid.
yeah.
Like, just give it a go.
Mm,
Like, if you don't enjoy it, then fair one. Like, if
yeah,
you're in a group that's all wants to play second edition, then play second edition. Like, people will make rules for any new units that come out. I would say that, in my experience, it's rare that community made rules actually last any length of time and people
yeah,
tend to just drift off and it tends to die. But if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. Like, it fucking hell, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
a game of toy soldiers. No one's forcing you to do anything. Do what you
yeah,
like.
yeah.
For me personally, I am really excited for what we've seen so far. I
Mm,
am slightly concerned for everything I've heard about the Libras,
mm,
but I will keep an open mind until I've played games.
yeah.
And then I'll smash all my toys and set fire to them, and you know what I mean.
Exactly right. Cool.
But yeah, just keep an open mind is what I'd say.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? We have had a massive influx of people watching the channel,
Mm,
and we have had a huge influx in negative comments,
mm.
which is something we haven't really seen before.
Not for 3 years, no.
So it is interesting. People are obviously passionate about it. I feel like a lot of these people probably don't actually play the game and are
Mm,
just sat in their mum's basement, tippy typing away, getting angry at a fucking game of toy soldiers. But if that's what you
yeah.
want to do, then cool. We just fucking mute you and you can shout into the ether. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. That's not what we're here for. There's other
Yeah.
channels. You want to go and rant about that shit. Like, rant about it if you want to rant about it. But, like, you know, fucking
You'll be
keep
swiftly hidden from the channel, won't you?
keep
That's
it in
what,
check. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's like be objective about your ranting. Don't just be I hate Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Nah, I've been playing since first edition and it's all bollocks. Like, brilliant. But you've not
It's
told me anything
it's
there.
funny,
Like,
like yeah, and just like it's interesting you mentioned first edition because somebody on the previous episode mentioned like the support on first edition was like really good and like everything's gone downhill, right? And I like it was interesting, and they articulated their points well, and they spent time writing their points, but I don't remember 1.0 being a golden age of
ooh.
like Horus Heresy in terms of
So
support. Like
no.
I remember it being a different kind of atmosphere and game
Yeah.
because because of the cost and the buy-in, people
Mm,
really cared about their armies, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
really cared. Like it was a much more informal nature because of the style that Forge World had.
Yeah.
You had it felt like you had a much closer relationship as a result to Forge World, and
Yeah.
as a result, it was just a smaller game with a smaller player base who really loved the Horus Heresy. But I remember like certainly in the last, like the latter years of it, just being like, I don't know whether Horus Heresy will just like stop or
Yeah,
whether like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just going to
yeah,
go. Like, and thinking it's been a long time since we've had like a significant fact. It's been a long time since we've had,
yeah,
I don't
yeah. It's
remember it
interesting.
being a
Yeah.
golden age of like support for the game,
So
or I'm
yeah,
misremembering. But sure, sometimes we have black books like once every 6 months, but we had like two black books once every 6 months. Not like they weren't coming out for like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It never felt, and sure, certainly at the end, like it got slower and slower. And, I don't remember the whole of the period of that 1.0 being particularly like a golden period. Like it had its
Oh,
moments,
I
but
don't know. Like, yeah, so for me, it's yeah. If you put the question as support, then no, not necessarily. But that varies depending
hmm
on where you are in first edition. But
mm,
I do think it was a golden age of the hobby. I think it
yeah,
almost felt like an independent
yes,
company. Like Forge
yes,
World wasn't Games Workshop.
totally different. Yeah,
Like you say, like you had the weekenders, you'd go and meet all the designers. Fuck, I
yeah,
remember going to, I don't even think it was a weekender, I think it was a 40k day, and they
mm,
had the Forge World staff upstairs. And I'm shit with names, so I apologize. But one of the guys just had his notebook there, and he had like pictures of like world eaters that he'd drawn, and like real fucking grim dark shit, like just sketches and stuff. And they were fucking amazing. And they'd show you like things they're developing that might not even become a thing.
yeah.
What was it? The thing that went on the radio.
Oh, the Paves, yeah, the automatic
So
Paves.
the guy who just built it and was like,
Mm,
"Well, they told me we might not make it, so I printed it off and I stuck it out. So we
yeah.
kind of have to go with it now." Like it was such a like you'd go into like talks and they'd end up telling you loads of shit
It
that
was
they
so
weren't meant to
yeah.
tell you.
See, like that whole vibe, it was, as you say, a different kind of game
Yes, yeah,
and
yeah,
it stood alone and stood separate
yeah.
from the 40k Age of Sigmar. And I
But
understand,
support,
and I understand,
yeah,
like, and I understand people probably look back at that and go, it was a different game in a different time. But in terms of like support, and those are two separate things. Like
yeah,
regular
yeah, yeah,
support
yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah.
Personally, I think like support encompasses a lot of things,
Oh
like a
God,
FAQ,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
models, communication, regular articles. And sure, I think you could make a really good argument that actually, like, we've been FAQ lean this edition, and it could have gone with well, not even a FAQ really, an errata
Yeah.
on points and things like that, and stuff cleared up. Um, but I feel like this edition. I know where I stand with this edition, and I know that Horus Heresy has longevity. Whereas in the later days of 1.0, I really was just like, I don't know whether Games Workshop will
No.
carry this on.
Well,
And
I
like, it
mean,
wasn't until we
yeah,
saw that leaked Age of Darkness box that was like, oh, okay, actually, they're
yeah,
clearly
yeah.
like,
No,
that
I
clearly
mean,
something's happening here.
it was evident, wasn't it? After Alan Bly passed away,
Mm.
like the system just died off. It was
Yeah, yeah,
obvious
yeah,
that he was the driving force
yeah,
behind the game system
yeah.
because it did. Like we just had nothing. You
and
would
that's
go
and that
fucking
and that is the problem with and therein lays the fatal flaw
yeah,
with having a little studio that's reliant on individuals
yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah,
their own thing and going off piece, which is that once one integral cog within that machine goes, either they leave
yeah,
because of work opportunities or they pass away, like the whole system collapses in on itself.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what people loved about it was also what led to its kind of like it's kind of like deterioration
yeah. And
in those months and in that
I
year
think the
that
thing
after he
that
died.
made Heresy so good in first edition was, and I can only say this as an outsider, I didn't know any of these people, but they seemed like a real close knit
Yes.
group. And then that obviously had an impact when Alan passed away because it obviously like they've just lost their mate,
Hmm.
you know. So that in turn, not only have you lost like the driving force, but then everyone else is affected
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
whole team dynamics has changed.
Yeah.
Like it was just obvious. Like from the outside looking in, it was obvious. Like we just got nothing. Like I mean, the whole thing of Heresy's Dead started, and it
Yeah.
started as a
Yeah.
joke, and then by the end, it was kind of like, well,
A self-fulfilling prophecy, wasn't it,
kind of
really?
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we got the rumors of second edition, and then we had like, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess it depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
I can see how someone would argue that it was better supported.
Mm,
I would say support's the wrong word. I
mm.
just think it's different. It's just different.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like now it's a mainstream game.
yeah.
You have to put up with some of Games Workshop's
You know what it's
bullshit.
you know what it's like. It's like where or the best analogy that I can give when I'm trying to explain it to people that transition from 1.0 and that period. It's like when you found a band that you absolutely love. And then they go mainstream, and then you're like,
Yes.
these guys are like sellouts. This is
Yeah.
not the band that I used to know anymore. And I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes that some heresy commentators, on comments, kind of like that's how they look at it, which is that like 1.0 was at its peak and at its best when actually it was this like maverick rogue of a studio
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
its own thing,
Yeah.
creating these beautiful, elegant
It's
leather-bound books, and the moment it became sort of consumed by the greater, you know, plague beast of GW,
corporate
yeah, that
fucking
then
yeah.
it kind of then it became
And
ultimately soulless. And
I get
I
that.
can
I do get
understand
that.
that. Like you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
understand that. Like and the
Yeah.
demise of the weekenders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can point to those things and go, this is where it went like wrong, and this, yeah,
Yeah.
etc etc. But I
I
can
mean,
understand
I feel
people's
like we
point of
could
view.
do an entire episode on this. I
Yeah,
mean, and the community itself doesn't help itself. Like they turned around and said, "Well, we don't have enough stuff for a heresy weekender. How's about we do a heresy and necromanda weekender?"
yeah, that wasn't
And
great,
everyone
was
was
it?
like,
Yeah,
"This is a fucking
yeah.
outrage!"
Well,
And
I
so
mean, yeah, yeah,
Games
no.
Workshop went, "Well, we won't do it then."
No, and
Like, that was
I mean, another thing as well is that the fact that they have to say in an article that Heresy Thursday won't be a thing any longer, that goes to show you like
yeah,
how vocal the
the
heresy community
community can
that
be.
they need
Yeah,
to tell us that Heresy
yeah,
Thursdays won't be coming, and
yeah.
they will
But
be different.
But again, like I take my hat off to him because one thing we always complain about is lack of communication. And so, all right, should they have to do it? No, but they've done it, and now people won't be losing their fucking minds when there's
Yeah,
no Heresy
it's
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah,
And I do feel some of that is based off the fact that, like, the end of kind of 1.5, we just heard nothing. There was nothing.
yeah.
But
So
yeah, I can't.
latching on to every piece of more sort of
Yeah,
information.
yeah. So I can't get mad at GW for telling us because yeah, tell us, like let us know, and then that's just it. It's done. We know that there's no Heresy Thursdays, and people aren't losing their minds. But I think it's a passionate community, isn't it? Like that doesn't bother me.
No, people
I
spend
think
their
it's great.
time and their money on it, and so they really, really care. They really, really care.
Yeah,
But
and I'd
I
rather
think,
that
yeah,
than
I,
people
I think,
just
I think
fucking
exactly as you said though, which is that you, I suppose you're in a best position to judge something objectively once you've played 5 or 10 games of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Not judging it, I suppose, before it comes out. Now, I think, or judging it in its entirety. There are things that
yes,
I judge, like the lack of a right of war, where I'm a bit like, that makes me a bit sad because like these things have been around for like 13 years, and I'm gonna
yeah,
miss them. But I suppose that actually, exactly as you said, you know what? Actually, the list building stage just might be complicated enough to be a fine replacement for that right of war. So actually,
yeah.
it might not make that bit much of a big deal, to be
Or it
honest.
might be shit, but we don't know until we try it.
Got to try it 10 times
Yeah,
before we know. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But cool. Right. We slight tangent at the end there. Let us know your thoughts and feelings. Are you excited? Are you going to be picking up Mechanicum, Solo Auxilia? Are you bothered that you can't? Are the two Black Shield players bothered that they can't play their army till October? Let us know your thoughts and feelings. Are you excited? Not. Try and keep it sensible, please. But yeah, thank you very much. See you at the next one.
Bye now.